Before she murders someone, she always wears a transparent raincoat. Then she uses superglue to seal the man's mouth shut. To be sure, she also uses a needle and thread to sew it shut again. Next, she injects expired Coke and milk into his body, causing the man's life to slowly slip away. Watching her prey struggle harder, she became even more excited. Finally, she used a sharp knife to dismember him. Immediately after, she would turn the man into a delicious meal, inviting the neighbors in the whole building to enjoy. The neighbors all praised her cooking skills. Only the landlord ate plain rice with a heavy heart, because Uncle De knew this dish was not ordinary. In fact, Uncle De was also a pervert. He uses a god's eye view to monitor every action of each tenant. He even keeps detailed notes on each person's preferences. Tenant No. 1 is a father and daughter pair. Right on the first day they moved in, Uncle De noticed something unusual about Old Wong. He noticed Old Wong always looked at his daughter strangely. Tenant No. 2 is Miss Chun, an office worker. Every night, she brings different men home. The noise disturb everyone in the building. The resident of number 3 is a PE teacher. His name is Lao Zhang. He's also a peeping Tom like Uncle De. He's even more disgustingly perverted. He's desired Miss Chun for a long time. Sometimes he secretly sneaks into her room, sleeps on her bed, even licks her toilet bowl. Tenant No. 4 is Guan 11, a useless otaku. Stays home every day practicing special psychic powers, and is convinced he will succeed. Tenant No. 5 are Lao Jin and Xiao Hei. Their relationship isn't normal. Furthermore, they have severe OCD and mysophobia. Things must be arranged neatly. She scrubs the toilet bowl until the enamel peels off, yet she doesn't stop. But what puzzled Uncle Da the most was the resident of apartment 6, Yingru. She seemed fresh and unconventional, yet her room was extremely bare. The room is filled with red leather suitcases, but they never contain anything. So Uncle Da was curious, and while Yingru was out, he secretly snuck into her room to check, but didn't find anything. Then he got curious and decided to open the red leather suitcase. Before he could even look inside, he heard Yingru coming back outside. Uncle Da quickly hid under the bed. Yingru brought a man into the room. The two of them first had a cup of coffee. They didn't talk for long after that. The two of them started to get busy, and went to the bathroom. But just seconds later, they heard someone fall. Then, Yingru turned around and bent down to pick up clothes from the floor. She clearly saw Uncle Da, but didn't react at all. Got dressed and went outside. Uncle Da held his breath as he crawled out from under the bed. He was curious about what had happened to the man from before, so he went into the bathroom to check. What he saw was a horrific sight. He rushed back to his room to call the police, and just as the call connected, he hung up. At this moment, Uncle Da's morbid curiosity arose again. He wanted to see what crazy thing Yingru would do next. Just like that, he was glued to the screen, watching the entire process of Yingru's murder. Uncle Da couldn't believe that such a beautiful girl would do something like this. There must definitely be an unknown secret behind this. So when Uncle Da saw Yingru alone on the rooftop, he approached her to chat. And this conversation also opened up a new world for him. A person's life. If it's like most people's, then it's just a repeating cycle. Actually, everyone has the chance to break their boundaries and reach for the vast sea and sky. They just don't dare to chip away at it. So they get stuck at the very bottom. Why do they get stuck? Everyone's afraid of being different from others. So they get stuck before the finish line, completely still. If what you just said is true, what makes you the exception? Y el poke a olinit. This also unleashed the dark side in Uncle Da, who was already perverted. So he tried to stimulate the evil desires in other people's hearts. He wanted to create chaos by interfering in other people's lives. First, he made a set of keys for all the rooms in the residential area. Then he posted a notice saying he lost his keys. Hoping whichever resident found it would return it to him, he intentionally placed the key in front of Lao Zhang's door. With Lao Zhang's personality, he definitely wouldn't return it. Just as Uncle Da predicted, Lao Zhang found the key, and every day, taking advantage of when Ms. Chun was out, did those despicable things. But these things couldn't satisfy the old man. He bought pig aphrodisiac, soaked it into the mosquito coil that old Wang used every night. Then there was the useless guy Guan 11. While he was out, he put sleeping pills into his Coca-Cola can. Late at night, while he was unconscious, he stripped him naked and moved him elsewhere. Just like that, every day the tenants did the same things. Lao Zhang went to Miss Chen's room as usual. Unexpectedly, he was really affected.
Old Wang still lights mosquito coil every day.
But his self-control is very good. He doesn't do anything excessive. Although Guanxi is naked every day, waking up in different places, he doesn't regret it at all. On the contrary, he's even more excited, because he firmly believes that he has developed the superpower of teleportation. Old Jean and Xiao Hei's relationship seems to be starting to become less harmonious as well. And Ying Ru, whom Uncle Da was most curious about, wasn't idle either. That day, she dragged a suitcase back to her room. Inside was a woman.
She's changing trick again.
She poured toilet bowl cleaner into her mouth.
Uncle da couldn't take it anymore.
He knocked on Ying Ru's door, using the excuse that he wanted to get back the match she borrowed last time. While she turned to get it, Uncle Da stuck his head inside, searching for the woman until he came face to face with Ying Ru. He stepped back in panic. To his surprise, Ying Ru warmly invited him into the house. He took a matchstick, hesitated for a moment, lit one, then blew it out. Then he left with a smile. This encounter completely awakened the demon inside Uncle Da. He decided to do something big. Uncle Da brought Guan 11, who fantasized about mastering teleportation, came to Lao Jin and Xiao Hei's bed. A fierce argument broke out between the two. Lao Jin argued that Xiao Hei had wronged him, while Xiao Hei firmly believed that Lao Jin had betrayed him. Just then, Guan 11 woke up, continuously apologizing, saying that he had just teleported there. An angry Xiao Hei didn't listen to Guanxi's explanation and kicked him out. Afterward, the argument between the two grew increasingly intense. He even pulled out a knife. As a result, during the struggle, Lao Jin accidentally killed Xiao Hei. Although Lao Jin was extremely distressed, he composed himself. He stepped out of the room, went to the suburbs, and dug a large hole to bury Xiao Hei. While Lao Jin was outside digging the hole, Uncle Da stole Xiao Hei's body and moved it into Quan Tei's room. He pulled the knife from the body and placed it in the hand of the unconscious Quan Tei. After that, he saw on the surveillance camera, Ying Ru kidnapped old Wang's daughter again. He took her away while Ying Ru was out, and put her in Lao Zhang's house, who was chatting in Ms. Chen's room. Then Uncle Da returned to his room, turned on some melodious music.
Quietly waiting for the good show to begin. Soon Guanons woke up, and found Xiao Hei's body under the bed.
Seeing the dagger in his hand, he panicked, thinking he had teleported and killed Xiao Hei. Just when he didn't know what to do, Lao Jin showed up. It turned out that Lao Jin, who had dug the pit and returned to get the body, discovered Xiao Hei had disappeared. Thinking about the unusual relationship between Xiao Hei and Guan 11, he assumed Guan 11 must have done something. So, he came looking for Xiao Hei's body. Right when the two were arguing, Uncle Da deliberately led Lao Jin to discover the body under the bed. Then Uncle Da pitifully knelt on the ground and begged them that whoever harmed Xiao Hei, they shouldn't tell anyone. Otherwise, this house couldn't be rented out anymore. Uncle Da had guessed that neither of them would dare to speak out, because both sides were convinced they were the killer. They easily agreed to Uncle Da's request. To make things more interesting, Uncle Da suggested that after dividing the things, they pack them up and throw them away. The two happily agreed. Uncle Da once again used his ridiculous acting skills to deceive the two naive individuals. After that, the two started acting frantically, while Uncle Da stood aside, looking thoroughly pleased. At the same time, Lao Zhang returned to his room. He heard a noise coming from inside the wardrobe.
Turn out she's Old Wang's doctor.
Old Wang over there is asking Miss Chen about his daughter's whereabouts, because when he comes home late, his daughter often goes to Miss Chen's place to do her homework. Just as Lao Zhang was worried, there was a knock on the door. Old Wang asked about his daughter's whereabouts, but Lao Zhang said he hadn't seen her. Old Wang didn't believe him. Just then, the closet door opened by itself. Old Wang discovered his daughter. Old Wang furiously attacked Lao Zhang. Lao Zhang, the PE teacher, quickly beat Old Wang to death. Lao Zhang used the same method, putting the body in a trash bag. Unexpectedly, in the hallway, the two groups ran into each other. Lao Zhang, walking ahead, suddenly broke down, questioning them. He thought Guan 11 was the one who did it. Right after that, they started fighting again. Accidentally, old Wang's head rolled off. At the same time, it flew right to the person who was disturbed by the noise. Miss Chen came out to check. Seeing such a scene, Miss Chen was scared out of her wits. At this moment, Uncle De winked at these people. The group understood and also dealt with Miss Chen. Uncle De slowly turned his head back, along with Ying Ru, who was witnessing everything. They looked at each other and smiled. And this wonderful story was Uncle Da's testimony at the police station. What was even more surprising was, the police quickly investigated Uncle Da's true identity. It turned out that Uncle Da was a police officer, and had graduated top of his class from the police academy. He specializes in criminal psychology. Years ago, he participated in the investigation of the perverted killer, Huang Xilang. The culprit liked to torture and harm high school students. Uncle Da's daughter was also one of the victims. Uncle Da, wanting to solve the case, wanting to get justice for his daughter, gave up the opportunity for promotion, to become an undercover cop, infiltrating a mental hospital to investigate Huang Xilang in depth, and collect evidence that Huang Xilang is not crazy. But things didn't go as planned. His superior became a vegetable because of a car accident, leading to no one being able to verify his identity as an undercover agent. Uncle Da was regarded as a truly mentally ill person, and was locked up in a mental hospital. During this time, he was forced to undergo treatment. He suffered all kinds of inhuman torture. Even a normal person would be tortured into madness. It wasn't until several years later, when the officer died, that his wife, while sorting through his belongings, discovered Uncle Da's true identity. That's how he was released. But after getting out of prison, he wasn't reinstated. He vanished and became the landlord here. The police also discovered that Uncle Da's statements were all lies. The tenants' relationships weren't as Uncle Da had described. Actually, Ms. Chen is Wang's wife. Their family of 3 live together. Guan 11 is a top student at medical school. Not some good-for-nothing who just stays at home. Zhang isn't a PE teacher, but a university professor, usually quite effeminate. And Lao Jin is a mover, late-stage cancer. And Xiao Hei is Lao Jin's nephew. He comes to take care of the seriously ill Lao Jin occasionally. When Uncle Da was in the mental hospital, Huang Xilang already knew Uncle Da's identity. He gave Uncle Da a key, saying that the key could help him find his daughter. After that, Huang Xilang put on a sailor suit and committed suicide. And his death was precisely when Uncle Da was interrogated. He was the one who sketched the portrait of Ying Ru. Ying Ru is the personality split off from Uncle Da. His daughter died in Ying Ru's room. Huang Xilang groomed Uncle Da as his successor. So, he gave the key symbolizing the inheritance to Uncle Da. He committed suicide. When Uncle Da saw that series of surveillance videos, Ying Ru's personality gradually began to form. First, he harmed the nurse in the psychiatric hospital for revenge. The way he harmed people was like Huang Xilang. The methods were exactly the same as how he was abused. As for the tenants, they have all disappeared, which also shows they were all harmed by Uncle Da. A total of 5 people, plus Uncle Da himself. The 6 body bags on the rooftop initially proved all of this. So why 6 people?
Just my personal view.
It's highly likely Lao Wang and his daughter were put in the same bag.
After Uncle Da killed the nurse,
Ying Ru's personality completely took over. She started enjoying the thrill of harming and torturing others, and truly inherited the will of Huang Xilang. Actually, the real tenants here are completely the opposite of what he imagined. His soul has become corrupted. He thinks this world is very dark.
The tenants downstairs
harbor demons within their hearts. They use their sinful nature to erode the very core of humanity.